Okay, year 9. Just going through the common questions that you made mistakes on in your non-calc version of the knowledge checker. Now, this was an estimation question. It said estimate. So, when you estimate, you just round to one significant figure. So that becomes 1000 divided by 30 plus 20. Now, an easy way to remember is, well, what's the easiest number to round these to? And that's what you do. That is easy to round to 1000, 30 and 20. It's so that you can estimate it in your head. You'll do this for things like party planning and so forth. And that answer is 20. Quite straightforward. Now, I chose this question on purpose because people always get thrown off by it. So that rounds to 300 times 40 all over 0.5. Now let's look at the top line. So that's going to be 12, add the 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, divided by 0.5. Now the most common mistake is people write 6,000 because they think divided by half is the same as divided by 2, but it's not, because divided by 2 is 6,000. So when you divide it by a half, it's the same as multiplying by 2. So that answer would be 24,000. And I'm going to show you why quickly. So think about it. If you're doing 12,000 divided by a half, remember your keep, change, flip rules. That's going to be 12,000. You keep, change, and then you flip. And there you go, that's why. And that's the most common misconception on estimation or silly mistake that people make. So don't do that in the future. Right, thirds. So let's multiply these thirds. So that's going to be 3 root 2. Perfect. And we're going to multiply the next one, and that's going to be plus 3 times root 27. Now, what's the biggest squared number that goes into 27? It is 9. So this becomes 3 root 2 plus 3 root 3 times root 9, right? So this simplifies to 3. So you're going to have 3 root 3 times 3 plus the original 3 root 2. So with this BIDMAS, we can only multiply like terms, so that becomes 9. So you then get 3 root 2, which stays the same, plus 9 root 3, and that is the answer. Changing the subject. So I know what you guys all did. You multiplied by 2, but always remove the terms. Remove terms for these questions that are separate from the subject. So that means we do the inverse of 3 because we're making m the subject, so we minus 3 on both sides. So then you can see we get c minus 3 equals m over 2. Now remember, when we times by 2 on both sides, we are multiplying everything, each term, by 2. So that will become, what's 2 times c is 2c, 2 times minus 3 is minus 6 equals m, and that's it. Many of you wrote 2c minus 3, and that's wrong because you forgot to multiply the 3, or if you just wrote 2c minus 3, put it in a bracket like that, that is acceptable as well. Perfect. Now, this throws people off fairly often because people are so good at compound interest, they just go to compound interest as soon as they see a question about it. Now, simple interest is not compound. It means you only get interest on the original amount. So first step is, if it's a non-calc, I would say 1% equals £8. So 3% is timesing that by 3. times that by 3, so you get £24. So that means each year you'll get £24. So for 3 years you times that by 3, so that's going to be £72. You cannot write 72 as the answer because it says how much money will he have in his account after 3 years. So you add that to the 800. And that is 872. You should put the pound sign in because it's a form of currency. Because you can have pence as well. So that's important to put the pound sign in. It's just good form. Now, guys, remember what this means. That means x plus 3, the same thing squared. And then from there, you will not make a mistake. So x times x is x squared. Plus x times 3 is plus 3x. Now, I'm going to do that from below. So that's plus 3x. And 3 times 3 plus is plus 9. We can only simplify these like terms. So that answer is x squared plus 6x plus 9. And those of you who got it wrong did the common misconception, which you just squared both numbers in the bracket to get that, and that is wrong. And that's why I put that question in the exam as well. So let's look at this question here. I'm going to write it out here. So this is getting good with your negative numbers, and I think you just made a mistake with your negative numbers. So that's an important skill to practice. So let's do x times x. That's x squared. Times it x plus 4 times x and 4. So that's plus 4x. Now let's do the negative number. Now can you see that's minus 1x. So that's just minus x. And minus 1 times plus 4 is minus 4. So 4x minus x, that's the only thing that can be simplified. So that's going to be x squared plus 3x minus 4. Now look at this question here. They say and I'm only asking you what's the value of a? Well, you know a times this number here is going to give you this number here. So the only number a can be is 5. If they ask you what b is, well, if a was 5 all of a sudden, because it has to be 5, then b would equal 15 if they asked you that as well. So you can do that, it's just that you're not familiar with the question. Now, remember quadratic sequences. This is a grade 7 to 8 topic, I would say. And this is the method I use because it's just easy. And here's a note of it here so that you can refer to it, because I don't want to explain it from the beginning. So let's look at the first difference. The first difference is 9. It adds 9. Then what happens after? Add 15. Add 21. So the second difference is add 6. Now, so from here you can see 2a has to be the second difference. So 2a equals 6. So we can do that by inspection by looking. A equals 3. So 3a plus b equals this term here, which is the 9. Now if a is 3, that's 3 times 3, so 9 plus b must equal 9, so b must be 0 here. And the last bit, a plus b plus c, has to equal 7. So I'm just going to do this here. So a plus b plus c equals 7. So a is 3 plus b is 0 plus c equals 7. So can you see c must be 4. Now we'll substitute it into this formula here. So the answer to this question, a is 3, so it must be 3n squared plus 4. You should always get these right by substituting to check. So let's choose the second term. That's the second term. So let n equal 2. So 3 times 2 squared. So that's 3 times 2 squared, which is 4 plus 4. That does equal 16. Perfect. And just try the third term. 3 squared is 9. So 3 times 9 plus 4. Well, we know that's 27 plus 4. And that equals 31. It works for both, so it's likely it's going to work for all. So the answer is 3n squared plus 4. So again, one more, and this is a more difficult example that you can look through to help you. So let's go. Example 1. That's 3, first difference, then it's 5, then it's 7. So the second difference, you can see it's going up in 2s. Now we know 2a equals this term here, so it must be 2, so we can see that a equals 1. Now this number here equals 3a plus b, and we can see that that equals 3, but a equals 1, so 3 plus b equals 3, so b must equal 0, and the very last term is a plus b plus c equals 3. Now we know a equals 1, b equals 0, so c must equal 2 to make it equal 3, c equals 2. Now substitute that in the form of an squared plus bn plus c, which is a form of all types of quadratic. So a is 1, so that becomes n squared, b is 0, so that becomes 0. So that answer is just n squared plus 2. Let's check. Let's try the second term, which equals 6. So what's 2 squared plus 2? It equals 6, correct. And let's try the third term. So what's 3 squared plus 2? That does equal 11, so it works. You're going to get full marks on a grade 7 to 8 question. Perfection. Now this was finding the gradient. So it did say use the blue line. So that length is 2 to help you, and that length is, that goes from that 7 up to there, and that goes up to 8. So the gradient is 2 over 15. It's going downhill, minus m equals minus 2 over 15. I can see why some of you did over 2 over 16 because of the line. It's deceptive. So in an exam, the question be a lot clearer, and you won't have this blue line as a guide. So hopefully you'll be fine with that in the future. Now remember this question, you're very good at it. 3y equals 12x minus 2. What is the gradient of the graph? Well, this is a linear graph, so that's always in the form of y equals mx plus c. M is the gradient. Now is this forming y? No, so we divide both sides by 3. So that becomes y equals 4x minus 2 over 3. So you can see m equals 4, and if they asked you what the y-intercept was, c was, that's just minus 2 over 3 if they asked you that, and that's quite straightforward. So hopefully that helps you out a lot.